Lesson 17, Slope-Intercept Form. Things are written in slope-intercept form when it's y equals mx plus b. M is the slope and b is the y-intercept. M is the number in front of x, and b does not have a letter, it's just a number and it comes after x. So I'm going to tell you that b equals 1 and m equals 3. That means if b equals 1, our y-intercept is 1, so we put a dot on the y-axis at 1. If my slope is 3, that means I rise 3, run 1. So from this dot right here, I'm going to rise 3, 1, 2, 3, run 1, and that's where my next dot goes. And then I do it again. Rise 3, 1, 2, 3, run 1. And that's where my next dot goes. You need to have a minimum of 3 dots, though more is better. 1, 2, 3, run 1. And then you need to draw a nice long line that goes from one edge of the graph paper to the other with arrows at the end of it. And then we're going to write an equation of our line. And we're writing it in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. M and x are always numbers, and then we'll have, m and b are always numbers, and then we'll have the letters y and x in our equation. So we know that m is 3, and we know that b is 1. So I rewrite my equation as y equals, instead of m I put 3x plus, and instead of b I put 1. Y equals 3x plus 1 is the equation of this line. Same idea here. B equals 2 and m equals -1/4. B equals 2 means that I have a y-intercept of 2, so I put a dot at 2. And then my slope is -1/4. Negative means I fall, so I fall 1, run 4. And which way do we run? Well, which way do you read a book? You read a book left to right, so you run from left to right. So I start here at this dot, and I fall 1, run 4. And there's where my next dot goes. And I don't have enough room on this paper to do another one, but you have enough room on your graph paper to fall 1, run 4. And I could guess where that one would go, but on your graph paper you have enough room to do another one. So I fall 1, run 4. Then I take my ruler, I draw a nice long line from one edge of the graph paper to the other with arrows at the end of your line, because we're doing lines and not line segments. All lines have to have arrows at the end of them because we're drawing lines and not line segments. Now we need to write the equation of our line in slope-intercept form. So y equals m, well m is -1/4, x plus b, and b is 2. So I took these numbers and I plugged them into y equals mx plus b, and I got y equals -1/4 x plus 2 is the equation of that line. This one gives me a y-intercept of 0 and a slope of -3. My y-intercept is 0, that means it's the origin. And my slope is -3. That means I fall 3, and whole numbers can always be written over 1, so I run 1. So from this dot right here, I'm going to fall 3, 1, 2, 3, run 1, and that's where my next dot goes. Then I fall 3, 1, 2, 3, run 1. And which way do you read a book? You read a book left to right, so you always run from the left to the right. 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. Whoops. Then with your ruler, draw a nice long line going from one edge of the graph paper to the other, and you put arrows at the end of your line because we're drawing lines, not line segments. Last but not least, we want to write the equation of this line in slope-intercept form. So we get y equals m, well m is -3, x plus b. B is 0. So really you could just write y equals -3x. Next one, I have a slope of -2. I'm sorry, I have a y-intercept of -2 and a slope of 4/5. So slope of -2, I put my first dot on the y-axis at -2. And then a slope of 4/5 means I rise 4, run 5. So from my y-intercept, I rise 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, run 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's where that dot goes. And then I'm going to do another one. Rise 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, run 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With your ruler, you draw a nice long line from one edge of the graph paper to the other with arrows at the end. And you need a minimum of 3 dots to make sure that you draw a straight line. Now we need to write the equation of that line in slope-intercept form. Y equals my slope, which is 4/5, then the x plus my y-intercept. My y-intercept is -2, so I write -2. So the equation of that line is y equals 4/5 x minus 2. Okay, the last one. My y-intercept is -4 and my slope is 0. So we start with the y-intercept. It's -4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And a slope of 0 means it's horizontal. So it's just a line that goes through that dot. So I draw a line from one edge of the graph paper to the other with arrows at the end of it. And then I write the equation in slope-intercept form. Y equals, my slope is 0, x plus my y-intercept. My y-intercept is -4, so I put -4. And you need to simplify. 0 times x equals 0. So that just kind of cancels out. And my equation is y equals -4. Now, let me go back, do one thing real quick. This one right here, this line crossed both the x-axis, here's the x-axis, and it crossed the y-axis. So it has an x and a y in its equation. So if it has an x and a y, then your line is going to cross the x-axis and the y-axis. This last one that we just did, it only has a y in its equation, so it only crosses this y-axis. See, it crosses right here. So if it only has a y, it only crosses the y-axis. If it has an x and a y, then it crosses the x and the y-axis. This one only has a y, so it only crosses the y-axis.